Hello everyone, my name is Silver Deerheart, aka the Infernicorn. I am going to talk in this video about my process, which a lot of people ask about, that I use for divination using auto drawing and free writing. First thing, this is not a Witchcraft 101 video. It assumes a little bit of basic knowledge having to do with grounding and centering and a bit of divination experience such as tarot, something like that. Basically I'm just going to walk through one of my previous readings in this video, and so let's get started. First things first, for doing auto drawing and writing, obviously you're going to need a pen and paper. This is my pen. I love those Pilot G2 pens. I use my pen much like a ritual tool. I use mine like a ritual tool. I actually have it consecrated, and I'm going to walk through that process too. When I'm consecrating my pen, first things first, I clear it, and how I clear things is I tap them like that. I use the vibrations from my tap to shake loose any energetic threads it might have picked up over its life before it came to me. Then once I've cleared it, I have this mugwort tincture that a friend actually made for me. And I, using my receptive finger, I coat from the top down to the bottom like this. And while I'm doing that, I incant, "Blessed be this pen for me, my sword to cut, my torch to see, a bridge through the sky and down below. When I hold this pen, my ink does flow. So mote it be." And once it's consecrated, I keep it with my ritual tools, and I mark it using this, like I use string, you can use whatever you want, to like nail polish, something like that, to keep it separate. And I also, when I'm consecrating them, I'll consecrate several at a time, because when you're doing this through work, you want to have several pens on your workspace in case one runs out of ink or something like that. And also in case you lose things like I do. I lose a lot of things. All right, so before you do this kind of work, you're going to get into the zone much like you would on using any other divination method. So if you use tarot, a lot of people will sit and, well, first you want to go to a space where you won't be disturbed, preferably quiet, whatever works for you. I actually use crystals a lot in my practice. This is my quartz ball. And to get in the zone, I go to a place that's calm and quiet. A lot of times I'll light incense. I'm a big fan of patchouli. And I'll run the ball between my palms like this, just letting its energy soak into me, expanding my awareness. And to clear my mind, a lot of people have difficulty clearing their mind. So a lot of people will envision a flower opening and closing as you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Some people visualize a flame growing and shrinking. If you have trouble conjuring visible pictures in your head, you can think of a sound, maybe a tone going up and down as you breathe. Just get yourself calm. You want to get into a state, it's not quite a trance, it's a flow state, just a calm state. Relax yourself. Some people, I actually recommend doing head to toe relaxation methods. I'm not going to go into grounding and centering too much in this video. There are lots of videos and books on that subject, so I recommend you go look at those if you don't know about how to do that. So once you're in the zone and you have your pen that's consecrated, you have several pens that are consecrated, you put your pen in the center of the paper. And I close my eyes when I do this, because when I'm drawing, I don't want my conscious mind to be doing the drawing. I want my subconscious to be doing the drawing. Drawing and writing, drawing especially, is one of the most intuitive acts that people can do. Obviously, when kids first learn to hold a writing utensil, one of the first things they do is start drawing pictures. People have been drawing pictures to express themselves for ages and ages, since before recorded history. There's actually a lot of really cool cave paintings that they keep finding in France. It's amazing. Oh my goodness, I'm such a nerd for that sort of stuff. So you want to just make space while you're doing this for your subconscious to play. Close your eyes. Keep your mind quiet. If you have to, visualize the flower, the flame, or the sound, like I mentioned before, and let your pen just run across the page wherever it wants. It's a muscle that's very similar to when you're reading tarot and you're shuffling the cards and you just get that feeling that, oh, this is the card that I need to draw. It's just like that. It's that same sensation. And you let your pen do what it wants across the paper. You'll intuit, much like when reading tarot, when it's done. And the whole time you don't want to be judging what you're doing. You don't want to be like, I think that's a Christmas tree, or I think that's, the Empire State Building, or something like that. That's really distracting, and you definitely don't want to do that. You want to be as open-minded and non-judgmental as possible, because this is your subconscious and it wants to say what it wants to say, so don't judge it for doing that. Once you've drawn your picture, I'm actually going to walk through the steps that I did on a previous picture. So this is the picture that I made a while back. Here is the original drawing that I made using my intuition, that kind of free drawing scribble stuff. Obviously it's not very pretty, it's not meant to be pretty. And then the next step that I do is I go through, and a lot of times I'll use a pencil to circle certain areas in the picture where I pull out icons and images that I recognize, and I'll write them down. And you want to use your first impression of what these are. You don't want to think too hard about it. A lot of people will start overanalyzing and overthinking things, and that's when your conscious mind is starting to supersede your subconscious mind, which is what you don't want. So in this picture, you'll see how I broke it out. A lot of times when I'm breaking it out, I'll draw an icon of what it is and also label it. So in this picture, I pulled out a heartbeat monitor squiggle, whatever that is, and waterfall image, a tornado with a flag and a star at its base, lightning, a deer in a forest, and a cage. So once I do that, then I string those symbols together, much like a sentence. I'll actually write out, like, kind of concatenate it like that. And then I go through and I write my impressions of those symbols, my associations, very much like you would do when reading oracle cards or Lenormand cards, if you're familiar with those. That helps me, when I do that step, it helps me get a sense for the feeling of this reading. And it really gets me, the point of this step is to really get you thinking of the meaning behind the symbols. Once again, just like reading tarot. Then my next step that I do is I'll actually draw out the picture, and that's when I really start getting the story behind it, and I start feeling out what it's trying to tell me. So in this drawing, I started over here, and there's waterfalls here, and then the heartbeat monitor became sort of mountains, so I was sensing that this was like a wilderness type area. And then there's a tumultuous sky and wind and lightning and this forest, and there's this deer in this forest, and it's really a very claustrophobic kind of feeling picture. And then there's this cage around this door. Now the door I pulled intuitively. It's a symbol that I'm familiar with, that's personal to me. It pops up a lot in my life, this little door, and I just intuited that it should be there. And when you're drawing your final picture, if you really feel that there should be something added, or something, you keep in mind, like I didn't draw a tornado, I just drew wind here. And so I basically created this thunderstorm, hurricane type setting for this poor deer that's stuck in this wood and unable to get out. So then once I have that picture drawn out, that's when I start free writing about it. And I'll read to you what I free wrote about this. And once again, a note about this, don't judge what you're drawing. A lot of people ask me, do I need to be an artist to do this? Do I have to like be really good at drawing or really good at writing? No, you don't need to. What matters is you're letting your inner self express what it needs to say. And I've actually used this technique to work with spirits, to do introspective work. Your subconscious is the portal through which you connect to the greater conscious of all. That's how I see it. So you definitely want things to flow as naturally as possible, and you don't want to be distracted by judging yourself. I mean, no one needs that kind of negativity in their life, right? All right, so this is what I said. This deer, a beast of grace, beauty, and power, runs through a wild land of emotion. Raging winds and storms sweep through the forests, buffeting all creatures within. It is a tumultuous, wild, and perilous landscape, filled with energy. The stag weathers the storm, though beaten and tired. It is wind-blasted and the land is chaotic, yet it is a resilient beast. Wild at heart, it stands strong, taking strength in the root of its power and that of the land, the star of its spirit. Yet the door is barred. No energy can escape. The way is shut, and the stag and the storms within shall remain in everlasting battle. So that's what I free wrote. I tend to be flowery with my writing, so if yours doesn't come out that way, that's perfectly fine. Your voice is your voice, so you should be proud of it. Then I used that story to derive meaning. This is the final step that I do. So after looking at the picture and my writing, this is the divination part. My inner world of raw energy, passion, emotion is in tumult. The stag, my inner wild aspect, beast of that place, is weathering the storm, but it is a battle. There being the stag, because I'm non-binary, I use they, them pronouns. Their standard is weathered and torn. All need release, yet something bars the door. I must find this thing, resolve it, to open the way and relieve the battle. So in this reading, I was actually doing introspective work. I was having trouble grieving for a loss that I had earlier this year, and I was wondering why that is. So someone recommended that I should try to speak with my inner emotional self, and this is what happened. I chose to use this technique, and it's a great way to connect to your emotions, which are so intrinsically linked to your subconscious. Anyway, that's about it. That's the process that I use. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm going to be posting a transcript of the spell that I used to consecrate the pen. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Infernicorn. Thanks for listening.